You ever have one of those moments that doesn't hit you until later? When the quiet thing someone said or did or didn't do just keeps echoing louder and louder until it becomes all you can hear. That's what this was. But it didn't start that way. At first, it was just small stuff. Nothing big enough to scream about. Just shifts. She started going to the gym more. That was it. That was the beginning. And how do you question that? Your wife wants to be healthier, to feel better in her own skin. You support that, right? So I did. I encouraged her. Bought her those noise-canceling headphones she liked. Upgraded her Fitbit. Even paid for the private sessions when she said she wanted to work with a trainer. His name was Marcus. Or Mark. Something with an M. I didn't ask too many questions at first. Just nodded when she mentioned him offhandedly over dinner. He's just this big goof, she said once. All muscle, no brain. But he pushes me. She smiled, wide and bright, like she was proud. You'd like him, she added, without looking up from her plate. I didn't say anything, but something about that rubbed wrong. It was the way she said you'd like him, like she was already defending him against a fight I hadn't picked. Still, I didn't want to be that guy. Jealous, insecure. I'd seen those husbands, hovering, controlling, always sniffing around their wives like they were hiding something. I promised myself I'd never be like that. But God, it was hard not to wonder, especially when she started coming home late. And I don't mean stuck in traffic late. I mean 2 hours after the gym closed late. The excuses were soft and vague. We grabbed smoothies, she'd say. Or, I stayed to do some stretches, lost track of time. But I'd check the gym's hours, closed at 9. She'd stroll in at 10:15. That's when I started driving by the gym. Just to see, just to know. And I did that for 3 days. The first 2, nothing. She came out alone. Tired, sweaty, hair up, phone in hand. But the third night. That third night is carved into my memory like stone. It was a Thursday. I remember because I told her I had a late meeting, just to give myself space to check. I parked across the street, windows down, lights off. The gym's glass front glowed yellow against the dark. Rain had just started to fall, soft and steady. It made the whole street look like a watercolor painting. She came out right around closing. Alone at first. Pulled her hoodie up. Looked around. Then he followed. Tall. Built. Too clean to have just finished a workout. He said something. I couldn't hear from where I was. But she laughed. Not the laugh she used with me. Not that tired, married chuckle. This one was different. Younger. Giddy. Like a girl on a first date. They walked down the block together. I started the car. Followed at a slow crawl, headlights still off. And then, they stopped. Outside a juice bar, closed for the night. She turned to him. He reached for her hand, and she didn't pull away. I swear my heart stopped. Right there, on a quiet street, beneath a flickering sign and the faint sound of rain, my wife stood with another man, holding hands like it was the most natural thing in the world. No shame. No guilt. Just ease. I pulled my phone from the dashboard tray. Hands shaking. Hit record. I wasn't even sure why. I didn't have a plan. I just needed proof. Something to show myself later, in case I tried to convince myself it didn't happen. In case she lied. In case I lied to myself. The video was grainy, but clear enough. Her smile. His hand on her back. The way she leaned in, whispered something, and he laughed. It was intimate. Familiar. Like this wasn't new. Like this was normal. And then they kissed. Just a soft, quick thing. Not lusty. Not scandalous. Just affectionate. Practiced. Like they'd done it 100 times. I lowered the phone. Pressed stop. Sat there in the dark, trying to breathe through the heat rising in my throat. I didn't cry. Not then. I didn't yell. Didn't honk the horn or confront them or storm out of the car with fists clenched like in the movies. I just sat there, heart cracked in 1,000 quiet places, trying to reconcile the woman in front of me with the woman I married. Was this the first time? Doubt it. Did I miss the signs? Absolutely. But nothing prepares you for the moment it becomes real. When suspicion hardens into truth. When love collapses into evidence. When you stop being a husband and start being a witness. They walked off, eventually. Turned a corner. Disappeared. And I sat in that car for another hour. The engine off. Phone screen still lit. Video paused on her smile. I should have gone home. Should have deleted it. Should have confronted her the next morning like a rational man. Instead, I hit save, slipped the phone into the glove box, and whispered into the silence, "So that's who you are now." But I wasn't done. Not yet. Because something about the way she smiled at him, So open, so sure, told me this wasn't some fling. This was a story already in motion. And I had just turned the first page. You don't sleep well after something like that. Not because of the betrayal itself, not yet, but because your brain won't stop rearranging your past like furniture in a burning house. Every memory becomes suspect. Every, I love you, gets cross-examined under a dim ceiling light of doubt. That night, I slept in the guest room. Told her I'd eaten something bad. Food poisoning or something. She peeked in, offered water. Asked if I needed anything. I said no. She said, okay, feel better. And she kissed my forehead. That killed me. Because the hand that had been on his back just hours before was now stroking mine. Because the mouth that whispered to him was now whispering to me. She still smelled like lavender shampoo and gym sweat. And all I could think about was how many versions of her existed that I'd never met. The next morning, I played normal. Made coffee. Packed her lunch like I always did. She was upbeat. Marcus thinks I'm making real progress, she said, biting into toast. He says I've got discipline. I almost choked. Marcus. So that's the name. I said nothing. Just nodded. Bit my cheek until it tasted metallic. Watched her pack her gym bag, the black one I bought her 2 birthdays ago. Watched her apply lip gloss she only wore on date nights. Watched her walk out the door with a smile that, for the first time, looked completely unfamiliar. That was the first time I truly understood something. Cheating doesn't start with a kiss. It starts with a shift in gaze. A laugh that's too light. A story retold with a name that gets mentioned just a bit too often. I told myself I needed more than just that one recording. Maybe that was my way of avoiding the inevitable, or maybe it was just strategy. I didn't know yet what I'd do with the truth, but I knew I wanted the whole of it before I moved. So I kept the act going. Over the next week, I followed them 4 more times. Always from a distance. Always careful. Monday, they left the gym and drove together to a little parking lot by the lake. Just sat in her car. Windows fogged. I didn't need to see more. Wednesday, they got smoothies. She fed him a spoonful of hers. Like teenagers. Like I never existed. Friday, they went to what she later described as a deep stretch yoga cool-down. I followed them to a boutique hotel downtown. No yoga mats in sight. They didn't even bother sneaking. Each time, I recorded. Not for court, not for revenge. For clarity. For the file I was building, not just on her, but on myself. I needed to see how long I'd been lying to me. The night after that hotel visit, she came home humming. Humming. She hadn't hummed in months. She walked in, hair damp, smelling like hotel soap. I was sitting on the couch, lights off, TV muted. I looked up, and she smiled, so easily it hurt. Did you eat? She asked, dropping her gym bag by the door. Not hungry, I said. You okay? She asked. I nodded. She stared at me for a second too long. I wondered if she saw it then. Something cracked in me, something no longer quite performing. But she let it go. Okay, I'm gonna shower. She kissed my temple and walked away. That's when I realized she didn't think I'd ever leave her. That was the armor she wore. The confidence of someone who believed she'd trained me, emotionally, better than any gym program ever could. And the worst part? She wasn't wrong. Not yet. I was still there. Still pretending. Still folding her laundry and making her breakfast and acting like her betrayal was just a bad dream I hadn't fully woken from. But something was shifting in me. That night, I opened a new bank account. Transferred what I could without triggering alerts. I emailed an attorney a friend had once recommended. Just to talk, I told myself. No decisions yet. I went through our shared photos, watched our wedding video. Her vows. My mom crying. Me crying. Her eyes shining as she promised things she probably meant back then. And I cried too. Not out of heartbreak. Not yet. But out of mourning. The kind of grief you feel when someone dies suddenly and you weren't prepared, because that version of her, the one from the wedding video, she was gone. The next morning, she asked if I wanted to come to the gym with her. Said Marcus was doing a couples circuit training class, and it might be fun. That word, fun, felt like glass in my mouth. I looked up from my coffee. No thanks, I said. You two go ahead. She froze just a second too long. I mean, there'll be other people, it's not just. I said no, I repeated. Calm. Flat. She smiled again, but it was thinner now. Less sure. Something flickered behind her eyes. Doubt. Maybe even fear. She nodded. Okay. Suit yourself. And she left. And this time, I didn't follow. I waited. Waited for the right moment. Waited for the moment I'd finally stop recording her life and start rewriting mine. But that came next. The decision came on a Sunday. Quiet morning. Her at the stove, flipping pancakes like nothing had changed. Me at the table, pretending to read. The sunlight spilled through the blinds in those long slats that make everything look softer than it really is. She wore my t-shirt. She used to do that early in our marriage. Back then, it felt intimate. Now it felt staged. Like a costume she put on for a part she no longer believed in. I watched her hum to herself, some pop song from the 2010s, and I realized something that hit me like a brick in the gut. She didn't even feel guilty. Not really. She felt confident, protected by the comfort of our history. She thought she had time, that I wouldn't do anything, that maybe I'd figured something out, sure, but that I was too tired, too in love, too beaten down to confront it. And maybe a week ago, she'd have been right. But that morning, I already had the final piece. The night before, I'd sent the videos, every single clip I'd recorded, to myself, to my lawyer, and to a private folder online. I labeled it, simply, truth. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to rage. I wasn't going to play the shouting husband card. No, I was going to hand her the truth like a mirror. When she sat down across from me, pouring syrup over her pancakes, I set my phone on the table. I opened the video, the one outside the hotel. The kiss. Her hand in his. I didn't say a word. I just hit play and turned the screen toward her. At first, she didn't understand what she was looking at. Then her face drained. Mouth parted. Eyes locked on her own reflection in that screen. Caught in a moment she thought would stay hidden forever. She didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just froze. I let the silence stretch. Let her sit in it. Say something, I finally said. Her voice came out small. How long have you known? Long enough. She reached for the phone. I pulled it back. I have copies, I said. Calm. Clear. Like I was reciting a grocery list. She swallowed hard. It didn't mean anything. I almost laughed. That line. That tired, threadbare defense of emotional arson. Then why did it keep happening? She didn't answer. I stood up, walked to the counter, poured myself more coffee. I didn't look at her. I couldn't. Not yet. I talked to a lawyer, I said. Everything's already moving. Wait, what? I'm not staying, I said. And I'm not fighting. I'm just done. She got up fast. Too fast. You're overreacting, she said. You don't have to. I turned. And for the first time in weeks, I let it show how tired I was. Not angry. Not even hurt. Just empty. You kissed him like you used to kiss me. You smiled at him with eyes I haven't seen in months. And you lied. Repeatedly. To my face. So no, I'm not overreacting. She stepped back. I walked past her upstairs. I'd already packed 2 suitcases, a duffel, laptop bag. When I came back down, she was still standing there. Pale. Still holding the fork. I paused at the door. I hope you find what you're looking for, Elise. She didn't speak. Just watched me walk out like I was a ghost. I didn't slam the door. I didn't take the car she loved. I didn't touch the savings. I took me. 2 weeks later, the papers were filed. No drama. No fights. She didn't contest. Maybe because she knew she couldn't. Maybe because she finally saw what it looked like when a man who once loved you beyond reason stops. I moved into a small apartment near the lake. Quiet. Simple. I kept the couch. Left the rest. Some nights I still wake up reaching for her. Old reflexes take time to die. But more and more, I don't dream of her. I dream of stillness. Of peace. And every so often, I open that old folder labeled truth. Not to relive the betrayal, but to remind myself, I saw what I saw. I knew what I knew. I left when it mattered. Because sometimes, love isn't about staying. It's about knowing when to walk away quietly and never look back.